The form was 17 pages long. Mara Voss reached page 9 as the fifth envoy entered the 40th minute of a speech about humanity's promise. She didn't look up. She turned the page. The Grand Council chamber was designed to impress, or intimidate. A vaulted ceiling arched nearly 40 meters overhead, pulling the eye upward whether you wanted it to or not. The walls shimmered with a pale, living alloy that caught light from no visible source. Mara had sat here 11 times in 3 years. The room always tried to make her feel small. She let it try. Page 10. Page 11. Fleet composition by class. She lifted her stylus and filled each field with precise care, including the optional ones. Someone had designed the form believing every entry mattered. She respected that. Around her, 42 delegations listened, or pretended to. The Vale envoy was still speaking about unity, cooperation, shared aspirations. He hadn't mentioned the Narath once. That told Mara everything. To her right, Marcus Hale leaned in. "Should we actually be listening?" "I am," she said calmly. "You're on page 11. I can manage both." He leaned back. He knew better than to interrupt her work. The Narath situation had escalated quietly. A station went silent. A trade corridor rerouted itself overnight. A distant colony received a greeting that included a full breakdown of its vulnerabilities. The Council responded with resolutions. The Narath ignored them, so now the Council wanted numbers. Real ones. Every species with military capability was submitting fleet data, ship classes, readiness, reserves, a show of force. A deterrent. Mara had completed her form 4 days ago. The system rejected one section. Value exceeds acceptable parameters. She checked it. It was correct. She resubmitted it with a note. This is intentional. The system accepted it. Now she finished page 15 as the envoy's speech began repeating the word together. Marcus was watching the central display where submissions appeared in real time. The Dravik submitted 8 dreadnoughts. "Good," Mara said. "The Vale 12 dreadnoughts." "Good." A pause. "Ours just went up." "Good." Another pause. "Elena, you might want to look." She did. The display froze mid-update, flickered, refreshed. A number appeared beside the human entry. Across the chamber, heads turned. One delegate read it twice, then stopped breathing for a moment. Another leaned forward as if the distance might change the answer. Mara glanced at the number, confirmed it matched her submission, and returned to her form. "Is that correct?" Marcus asked quietly. "Yes," she said. "It is." She finished page 17, signed, set the stylus down around her. Conversations had stopped entirely. She closed her tablet, stood, and walked out of the chamber with the same quiet composure she had entered with in the corridor. She sent one message: submission complete. Expect contact within 48 hours. The reply came in 3. The call arrived early by Council standards, or exactly on time, depending on who you asked. Director Vol Torin appeared on the screen, ancient, precise, impossible to mislead. "Ambassador Voss," he said, "there appears to be a discrepancy in your submission." "What kind?" "A numerical one. The value in Section 7C exceeds system limits." "What limits?" "The field accepts values up to 9,999. Your entry could not be displayed." "I included a note," Mara said. "Yes, that is why I am calling directly." A pause. "Could you state the value verbally?" She did, calmly, like giving an address. Silence followed. Then, carefully, he asked, "These are dread carriers, class Roman 4 or higher?" "Yes. Minimum length 4 kilometers, independent logistics, planetary siege capable." "Yes. And this number represents your current active inventory, as of last quarter." Another silence. He adjusted something in his understanding. "A variance of 300 units, he asked slowly. "Give or take." "How many construction arrays?" She told him. This time the silence lasted longer. "I will forward your submission for manual review," he said finally. "This is a significant topic of discussion." "I can imagine." She ended the call. Marcus looked at her. "Security Committee?" "Yes. They won't like surprises." "They don't need to like it," she said. "They need to understand it." The summons came within a day. "Bring documentation." She brought 40 pages. The Grand Hall of Security Review was smaller than the main chamber. Less spectacle, more consequence, 14 species. 23 officials. Admiral Tharvek stood instead of sitting, a signal of unresolved assessment. They began with questions, perhaps humanity defined. Dreadnought, differently, no. Perhaps the construction rings were projections, no. Why are they operating at full capacity? One delegate asked. Because we required more ships, Mara said. The room cooled. Then Tharvek spoke. We request verification under Protocol 7, a live deployment. 10% of your submitted figure, Mara nodded. Agreed. Coordinates were selected within minutes. She gave the order. Deploy 10% of Class Roman 4 assets. Standard formation. The observation feed activated. The first ships arrived like stars igniting in darkness, brief flashes resolving into immense silent structures. The scale indicator adjusted, then adjusted again. More ships emerged. Then more. Perfect formation. No drift. No hesitation. The room watched. At 15,000, someone stopped writing. At 28,000, a quiet sound escaped one of the aides, something between disbelief and recalibration. At 38,000, a delegate's skin shifted to a color not listed in any known reference. At 44,000, someone leaned back and stared upward, as if space itself needed to be remeasured. The display strained. It had never been built for this. The count climbed. At 51,000, it stopped. 51,412 vessels, Mara said evenly. 10% of Class Roman 4 assets. Silence settled across the room. 10%, Tharvek repeated. Yes, she took a sip of coffee. It was cold. We will recess, the chair said. Outside, Marcus walked beside her in silence. That moment, he said eventually, when the count passed 40,000, something changed. Mara nodded. Yes. What did it mean, she considered. It meant the wall they thought was behind them wasn't a wall. The full council inquiry followed. 42 delegations. Every seat filled. They spoke of proportional force, of reasonable necessity, of intent. Then Mara stood. We completed every form, she said. Answered every question, filed every report. A pause. No one asked about the fleet. Silence followed, not confusion this time, but realization. An elder finally spoke. Were you intending to inform us? Mara held the question. We answered truthfully, she said. We simply were never asked. The room absorbed it, then everything moved quickly, private meetings, treaty requests. Quiet recalculations. Within 6 weeks, humanity held a full membership seat. The Narath expansion stopped within 48 hours of the deployment becoming public. They called it voluntary. The council accepted that. 6 months later, Mara sat in a different chair, closer to the center with a nameplate and a vote. The work continued, treaties, patrol agreements, joint defenses. One afternoon, Marcus placed a report on her desk. The fleet count, he said. She glanced at it, higher as expected. Will it ever be enough? He asked quietly. She looked at him. When there's nothing left in the galaxy that requires us to be ready, she said, we can have that discussion. He nodded and left. On her desk sat a framed receipt from that original submission, Section 7C. Where the number should have been, there were only question marks. A system not built to contain what existed. Mara looked at it sometimes, not with pride but with understanding. She thought about what had led there, the decisions, the losses. The promise made long ago that there would never again be a shortage. Preparation carried far enough becomes something else. It becomes certainty. Outside the station, far beyond the light towers, the fleet remained in formation, silent, steady, patient, not threatening, not performing, just there. The way a foundation holds, the way a wall stands when it's needed, the way a species endures when it decides, once and for all, that it will never be unprepared again.